So we think about Tesla, and actually when it comes to the numbers themselves, it seems like we're expecting pretty good numbers, but the way this stock trades, it's almost as if those quarterly figures are a little bit of an afterthought here.
Like all things in life, it's relative. They're good. I mean, you're talking about 30% adjusted earnings growth from last year. But remember that the first 3 months of 2025 were not good for Tesla.
No.
Right? Elon Musk's proximity to the president of the United States resulted in some pain when it came to sales of EVs. But let's be honest, everyone looks past the core numbers. You know, Elon Musk's greatest skill, as I think I've said to you on this program before, and you can tell me if that's the case, is keeping investors looking to the horizon. So now they want some real update on a rollout of a commercial robotaxi service and any sort of visibility on ramp of Cybercab, which should have started, as well as the humanoid robot progress of Optimus. That's the reality of this.
I mean, you could make the case that maybe some of that investor patience is starting to run out a little bit, because you take a look at shares year to date down about 14% here.
Well, what you were saying a moment ago about stocks being at records, Tesla did participate in the last 10 sessions in that rally, but prior to that had massively underperformed its Mag 7 peers. The other thing is just that the multiple it's trading at relative to the rest of the Mag 7. You know, if the Mag 7's trading at 30 times forward earnings, Tesla's trading at a lot more severe than
183.
that. Yeah, it's weird to say out loud 183 times forward earnings, because it is valued as an AI and robotics company. So when we say that, I don't say it flippantly. I say when the earnings hit, they'll look past the numbers of the core business and look for roadmap evidence of progress in those areas.
Well, as we await Tesla earnings coming in the next few minutes, let me just quickly bring you an update from Texas Instruments, getting those figures. Now you can see the stock is popping when it comes to the first quarter EPS, beating estimates, coming in at $1.68. The estimate had been for $1.38. So that's the look behind. Let's talk about the look ahead, which might explain the reaction we're seeing in shares right now. Second quarter revenue higher, seen between $5 billion to $5.4 billion. That is ahead of the estimate for $4.85 billion. But here are the Tesla figures. Let's go through some of them. First quarter adjusted EPS beating estimates, that coming in at 13 cents. Adjusted EPS coming in at 41 cents, actually. The estimate had been for 34 cents. First quarter revenue coming in at $22.39 billion. The expectation had been for $22.19 billion. So a bit of a beat there when it comes to revenue, when it comes to adjusted EPS, and their gross margin for the first quarter, a beat there as well, 21.1%. The estimate had been for 17.7%. So really interesting, Ed. I mean, to look at these numbers, as we were saying, there was an expectation that we were going to get good news. But again, seeing some of them actually in reality, you can see that that expectation was borne out. Yeah,
you know, in the context of recent quarters, it's a relatively muted after hours reaction, up 2%, particularly, you know, that we got exactly what we expected on a quarter that had favorable comps from the same period a year earlier. Remember that in the first 3 months of 2025, Tesla was not having a good time because of the impact of their sales from Musk's relationship with the President of the United States. I've gone straight to the Outlook segment, and there's one thing that I'm seeing straight away, which is that Cybercab, Tesla Semi, and Megapack 3, which is their storage product, are on schedule for volume production starting in 2026. I need to go back and compare and contrast, but I'm pretty sure that the language in the prior deck said it would be the first half of 2026. So if anything, it's kind of a slipped timeline. We're looking to that. Language is everything. Last quarter, they slipped something into the deck called other updates, and that other update was an equity investment in XAI. There is no other updates in this deck, and I know that that's not what you want to hear on the close. We like a bit of drama. We do. This is a non-drama release. Non-drama release, but you can see that that rally really building after hours right now. Tesla shares higher by 4.5%. Again, you think about what was priced into this stock, it wasn't much. Shares down 14% year to date, but certainly some optimism there. I mean, you mentioned XAI, and there is the lingering question out there. I don't think we're going to get any answers today about whether we could see a potential combination with SpaceX ahead of that IPO. That speculation has been pretty persistent, Ed. Yeah, what we had reported prior to the confirmation that SpaceX had acquired XAI is that the boards of SpaceX and Tesla had looked at that option. Rather than take a larger private entity public through an IPO, back into a public company. They didn't go that way, but that's always going to be out there. It's highly unlikely. And indeed, it's come up on prior calls where executives have had to stop themselves from answering retail investor submitted questions about SpaceX, that you're going to hear any more about that. The only other thing that I'm getting from this release beyond all of that, it's just a confirmation of everything that was announced in the quarter. There is no sort of guidance other than, they are talking pretty favorably about their focus on affordability being a key competitive advantage at a time where the EV market is having a tough time in North America, but that's not their focus either way.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see them say up high in the deck here that demand has returned when it comes to the EV market, particularly talking up APAC, South America, also seeing a rebound of demand in EMEA and also North America. And I mean, this isn't a Tesla specific problem here. What we're seeing when it comes to maybe not as robust EV demand, maybe cooling EV demand. I mean, this is something that a lot of the legacy automakers have been dealing with as well and have adjusted their plans accordingly. But Tesla, they're pure play EV.
Yeah, some of the data that we saw in that period was that the production number was outpacing their delivery number by quite a lot. That meant that they built up inventory. Then you have the reporting that 1 in every 5 Cybertrucks they build is going to another Elon Musk company, in most cases SpaceX. But with inventory, you can manage pricing. Tesla's master class at the end of each quarter is promotional work to boost the sales in the final week of that period. It is interesting that they're stating they see the demand coming back. That's not necessarily in line with the macro look of EVs in this country, at least. But of course, you point out Tesla has a footprint in those other markets, Asia Pacific being one.